some citizens clearly want their complaint to be public and notorious, and they wanna, you know, they wanna expose what they feel is a wrongdoing, and that would be clearly an opportunity for them to make it public record. But if they fear retaliation or whatever from the city or other people, other neighbors or other citizens, then they could mark a box that says, I do not want this to be a public record. And I think that might make your complaint form a lot more used if people had the opportunity to say, hey, I want to still complain, but I don't want everyone to know I complain.
Okay, so if it's not public record, I realize that's the person making the complaint, but does the complaint itself become public record, or how we respond to it, or how it's processed?
Well, yeah,
or if that's marked, then none of it becomes public, even any process.
Their complaint would not be public record. If you create documents later that in response to the complaint, those would be public record. So if something gets created by the city that is a document, then that would be public record. A lot of times, based on a complaint, you're not going to create stuff. It's just going to be action, and that's not a public record. That's
okay.
That's reviewable. But conceivably, yeah, they could make a complaint, and something would happen that could become public record.
So is this going to go on an individual's, or could it go on an individual's file and later on counted up as marks against the person?
If it goes into an employee's file,
right,
then that would be a different set of whether that's a public record or not. Most of our public employees' files, or many of our public employees' personnel files, are not public record.
right.
So that would be a different, set of rules for us to look at to decide whether that somehow is a public record then. But that complaint would never be a public record. The complaint itself would never be a public record. Whether it made it into an employee file or not, it would never be a public record. I don't know how Steve-
It kind of takes the bite out of it then, right?
I think what Denny's referring to is if that complaint then could be utilized as a disciplinary measure against that employee, since it's no longer public record and you have no opportunity per se, or maybe even the individual being complained about doesn't have the opportunity to question that individual or to speak to that individual to understand what was going on. I think that's what, maybe I'm.
No, you're right on the head.
I think that's
right on.
what
I mean, what good is the complaint then?
Yeah.
Well, it would be, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would draw attention to the supervisors that there's a problem, and then they can follow up on investigating it. That'd be the value of the complaint. If they want to have it an open record, if they say, yeah, I don't care if it's public.
Yeah, but you just hit the nail on the head and you said they're probably afraid of retaliation.
If they're, yeah.
They're not gonna sign it then. So we're right back where we started.
And
It's benign.
I would have to err on the side of caution. Administration would have to be very cautious not to email council to that complaint, because an email could become public record.
Right.
So if we receive that complaint in and we email the council and say, okay, we received, we'd have to be very cautious on how we manage and monitor this.
Right.
And it would really benefit our clerk if we did have that box in there, because she's then got to try and interpret whether the maker of the complaint intended it to be public or private otherwise. Because the code says that it's a public record unless the maker of the document that we did not want it to be public, or we reasonably believe they did not want it to be public. Well, how is she going to figure out whether the maker of the complaint?
You shouldn't have that put on her.
Right. So that's why it'd be really, I think, helpful to our clerk to be able to figure out whether it's a public record or not based on whether they mark that box. And it could say this is a public record and public document unless you don't want it to be. That'd be one way to do it. But just we have a problem the way our code, or the state code is written. Barb's gonna have a problem interpreting the complaint, whether it's a public record or not, because she has to get into the head of the maker of the complaint.
I don't have a background in psychology.
No, none of us do.
Well, I mean, so it's easy enough, I'm just saying to amend this form to add yes or no, you want it this
Right.
made public?
Right, I paragraph in there that says that this is a public record unless you indicate you don't want it to be, and then cite the code section, just the Iowa code section. So if they don't like what the document says, then they can look at the Iowa code and say, oh, I guess, I have to make that decision whether it's public record or not.
I kinda like, I don't know if you looked at the one at City of Farley. It's kinda nice in here, it says, this talks about a citation, but it says if you check no, that you wouldn't testify. If you check no, it's very possible the city will not take any action on the complaint. I think, if they check, they don't want this made public, it may very well end up that no action can be taken on it.
That's exactly what he's saying. They're not gonna take any action.
Yeah,
Well,
but I
you
think they
can't-
need
so
to
you
know
take-
that.
You take a person that's been violated to begin with, and then you turn around and throw that in front of them, I think that's another violation on top of it. Because now the city's gonna do absolutely nothing unless you put your name on there and you're subjecting yourself to being ridiculed and prosecuted again.
Well,
I just, it's just,
From a prosecutor's point of view, though, I can't prove something unless I have a live witness.
Right.
I can't show
Right.
up in
If you
court and
scare
say,
the
hey,
witness
Judge, we have
out-
people complaining.
right, if you scare the witness out, you don't have a witness.
Right.
That's why I'm saying we should put that in there, that if they don't want this to be public, they may cause the city to not take any action.
And that is referred to in there on our form towards the bottom, and and Barb helped put these, put these together, and we used the Farley and another community here to kinda come up with our plan.
Okay.
And, it does say that it doesn't say anything about the public, it'll be, that being a public record, and I think we can just, put that up at the top right underneath the actual phone number area there, next to those other checkbox, but, it does refer to that, yeah, I mean, if you're required to testify, you need to check yes or no. Cause that's very similar to what we've had with, like, the nuisance things, where people call and complain about nuisances, where, this falls right in with that. If somebody's not willing to say, this is how this nuisance affects me, we don't have a leg to stand on.
But the main thing is this gives us a formalized, as opposed to a little piece of scratch paper someplace that gets lost under the pile.
Right.
Is what your main purpose of doing this is. I'd make the motion, we accept this complaint form with the change referred to by city attorney.
Good. Okay, I have a motion by Hill.
Second.
Second by Switzer. Roll call, please.
Hermson,
Yes.
Switzer,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries. Let's go on to item 17. Motion to adopt a resolution approving final assessment schedule for the First Street East Curb and Sidewalk Project and amending, confirming, and levying the assessments.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Holland, second by Switzer. Roll call, please.
Holland and Switzer.
Yep.
Switzer,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hermson.
Yes.
All those being assessed have the opportunity to pay that assessment right up front. And I believe if it's, as it reads in there, if it's over $500, then they can stretch it out over 10 equal annual payments. And the first year that we will receive reimbursement for this will be fiscal year 15, not 14, but 15. It'll take a full cycle, so just so everybody's aware.
Thank you. Motion carried. Go on to item 18. Motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the payoff of general obligation bonds, Series 2005B, totaling $500,000 by utilizing available tax increment financing cash balance.
And what this is if you recall, back in November, we had Spear Financial come in, and we talked about ways to utilize some of those TIF dollars that we've acquired over the years. And one of the plans is to use $500,000 of that to pay down a general obligation need you to do tonight is to pass this, if you choose to pass it, which I hope you do, pass this subject to approval by bond council. Because we're working with bond council to approve the finalization of all these things. But we need to have an approval tonight to be able to meet our deadlines here before the end of the year, so. What this will do is this will use $550 of available TIF cash that we have to pay off our, it's a Series 2005 loan.
So moved.
I have a motion by Holland,
Second.
second by Switzer. You got yourself there?
Well, I think Bonnie looks gifted, Bonnie.
I heard your second, that's all right.
Oh, that's fine.
So motion by Holland, second by Switzer.
Okay, I need a roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Holland,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Switzer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I think one thing on this too, Steve, is that, remember, we were also kind of told by the state auditor we couldn't keep as large a TIF balance as we've had without designating it, so what we're doing is using this for constructive purpose as opposed to just having to give it back or be in violation of what the state told us.
Okay, we'll go to new business.
I'm okay, go.
Item 19,
She's still alive.
motion to set the date of hearing as May 28, 2013 at 6:30 PM at the City Hall Council Chambers in the City of Independence for consideration of adopting a resolution refunding sewer revenue bonds series 2003 not to exceed $1,800,000 and for the insurance of general obligation bond series 2013A not to exceed $1,770,000.
And what this is, I was gonna say, this is the second part of the SPEAR recommendation where we have, debt service cash on hand that we're gonna be using $350,000 of that towards paying off this sewer revenue bond. And then we're also gonna be using about $625,000 of existing sewer sinking fund dollars to help pay this down. We're paying it down, as a revenue bond and converting that into general obligation. And but we'll be paying that general obligation with our sewer revenue that we bring in. So what it helps do is it helps, pay down and get a lower interest rate, plus it also helps us with our coverage factor. Rather than having to increase sewer rates there's a mandated coverage that you have to have on your loans, and it has to be either, depending on what it is, either 20 or 25% of the revenue you bring in has to cover that loan, and we've